Brought to you by Penguin.
Wages for Housework by Emily Callaci. Read by Kate Winter. Introduction. A poster created by the New York Wages for Housework Committee in 1974, inked in red and blue stencil, proclaims, "The women of the world are serving notice. We want wages for every dirty toilet, every indecent assault, every painful childbirth, every cup of coffee, and every smile. And if we don't get what we want, we will simply refuse to work any longer." In the center of the poster stands the Statue of Liberty, her face weary, a broom in one hand and a fistful of cash in the other. Children grab at her robes, and dirty dishes lay stacked up at her feet. Some years back, I ordered a print from the Library of Congress, framed it, and hung it in my living room. I acquired it as a kind of curiosity, an attractive vintage artifact of 1970s feminism, and a provocative conversation piece. It is directly in my line of vision from my place at the kitchen counter, where I mix smashed banana into oatmeal for my son's breakfast, or portion extracted breast milk into 4-ounce bottles to be sent with the baby to daycare. It hovers in my peripheral vision as I, toddler plopped in my lap, read "I am a bunny" aloud for the 10th time in a row, and when I am bleary-eyed at the kitchen table with my laptop late at night after my kids are in bed, preparing a lesson plan for class the next day. I've thought about the concept often. Wages for housework. In the duller moments of my life, it awakens something in my imagination, connecting my daily efforts to lives and labors beyond the 4 walls of my house. For most of my life, I did not think very much about housework. A middle-class teenager in the girl power 1990s, I learned that my liberation would come through education, creative expression, and professional success. Thanks to the efforts of feminists who came before me, I never felt I had to rebel all that hard against the expectations of feminized domesticity. I intended to spend my time on Earth on more meaningful things: love, politics, music, beauty. What did housework have to do with me? It seemed like a quaint preoccupation, the relic of an older generation's outdated and irrational beliefs about gender. That women were associated with housework seemed a category mistake. Correct that mistake, and you fix the problem. But then, when I became a mother, housework became inescapable. I experienced the housework of motherhood differently than my mother, who quit her job as a social worker to raise me and my brothers until my youngest brother was old enough for school. I remember her at the dinner table in the evenings with the 3 of us, while my father was out doing what I imagined as very romantic work as a union organizer. In stories about my father's childhood, I picture his mother, my brilliant grandmother, who left a job as a journalist when her first child was born, tending lovingly and skillfully to 5 children. Often while my grandfather wrote poetry in his attic study, she returned to journalism when she was in her 60s, after her children were grown. When their children were school-aged, both my mother and grandmother became public school teachers, choosing careers that adapted to the rhythms of their children's lives. These images of my mother and grandmother invoke in me feelings of warmth, safety, and love. Still, I never expected to play a role similar to them. It seemed unproblematic to me to identify with the men and their work. I'd emulate the union organizer, the poet. I have not had to fight all that hard against an expectation that, as a woman, I should do a disproportionate amount of housework. Yet housework is nevertheless a struggle that I share with my partner. In at least one way, our household is typical for our generation of Americans. Both adults in our house work full-time outside the home.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?